Hey, this is Soporific with the video on analyzing hands with SitNGo Wizard. SitNGo Wizard is an important tool for looking at push or fold decisions for both ICM and chip EV situations. However, the conclusions the program gives are only good as the assumptions you give it. The hand I'll look at comes from a $12 45-player SitNGo tournament on PokerStars. The blinds are 800 and 1600 with a 75 chip ante. The top 7 players are paid, so with 8 players left, this hand occurs on the tournament's money bubble. Heroes in the small blind, starting the hand with 7,485 chips, the 6th largest stack. The two smallest stacks have both less than 2.5 big blinds and are about to go through the blinds themselves. The hand is folded to the cutoff, who opens shoves. This cutoff is a very aggressive regular. In 155 hands with less than 7M, he is played at 22-19 while attempting to steal the blind 61% of the time. Hero has ace-queen and is now faced with one of the most difficult decisions in this type of tournament. He has a good, but not premium hand, a stack close to the average, large blinds, and is facing a raise that covers Hero. I find the easiest way to get hands into SitNGo Wizard is to copy the hand history and paste it into the program. My technique when I encounter a hand what I'm unsure about during a session is to copy the hand history from the poker client and paste it into Notepad, jotting down any notes or stats I have on the opponents in question. Here I've already copied the hand history, and I can paste it into the SitNGo Wizard with this icon on the toolbar. Before we go over SitNGo Wizard's analysis, let's look at the various parts of the analysis screen. In the top right corner of the screen, you can choose between chip equity mode and ICM mode. But since this is a final table hand, we want to make sure this is not selected. Graphic Game View removes the table and replaces it with a hard-to-read spreadsheet, and we don't want that. Now there are two ways to change an opponent's range. By clicking next to Model, we can choose from 5 settings, between very tight to very loose, but I don't think that offers enough granularity to be that useful. My preferred method is to click on the number below that, bringing up a screen where we can choose a hand range. To adjust the hand range, you can use this slider, type in a percentage of hands here, or move this yellow box to the weakest hand of the range. The center of the screen gives SitNGo Wizard's conclusions about the hand. This first line gives the tournament structure used in the analysis. SitNGo Wizard is good at selecting the correct structure, but it can be changed simply by clicking it and then choosing a new one. The blinds line is exactly that, and it can be changed the same way. The EQP% and EQF% are Hero's equities for pushing and folding respectively. In ICM mode, this is given as a percentage of the total prize pool. Right now, SitNGo Wizard says pushing is worth about 9.84% of the prize pool, which in this tournament is worth about $48.71. Diff% is simply EQP% minus EQF% and represents Hero's profit from pushing over folding. Edge% is SitNGo Wizard's breakpoint for pushing over folding. If diff% is greater than edge% for a given hand, then SitNGo Wizard will suggest pushing that hand. I don't recommend setting edge% above 0, since I don't want the program tied to any profitable shoves. However, setting edge% below 0 helps to make up for ICM's shortcomings with small stacks and forced bets. Using edge% this way suggests Hero's stack is either currently overvalued or will be undervalued after a successful shove. How much to set edge% to compensate for this is purely subjective. With Hero having little more than 2M if he folds, and an orbit before having to put blinds in again, I'll set this to negative 2%. As we can see, calling the shove with ace-queen costs Hero 1.71% of the prize pool, which is nearly 15% of Hero's equity and is an $8.46 mistake. In fact, Hero should call with only jacks or better. However, this analysis is rubbish. As we mentioned before, the cutoff is an aggressive blind stealer, and since he covers the remaining players, he has even more incentive to be aggressive. I think a better range for this player is 60% of hands. This range includes almost every hand with a face card, but folds of the worst hands. I don't think a range of any two cards is appropriate here, since Villain covers the big blind by a mere 600 chips, and he has to worry about getting eliminated himself. And what about the big blind's range? Looking at the hand grid, 19% of hands includes hands like King 10 suited. I don't expect a player will call King 10 suited against 2 all-ins on a money bubble of a tournament. In fact, I would expect everything worse than 9-9 and Ace-Queen would fold, and even that might be a stretch. But there's one more range we must consider for the big blind, his range when Hero folds. This range is important in ICM situations. Part of Hero's equity comes from when his rivals risk their tournament lives. And notice it's still at 19%. But look at how Hero's equity when he folds, and how his suggested range change as I make the big blind's calling range against the cutoff looser. If I think the big blind will call a single all-in too much, I'll want to play tighter and let the big stacks spew equity to everyone else. But anyway, I think 19% is not a reasonable range for the big blind, and a range that includes King-Queen suited and some medium pairs is probably more appropriate. So what does SitNGo Wizard think of shoving Ace-Queen now? Now it's a thin but correct shove. However, SitNGo Wizard still suggests shoving only 6% of hands. There's a fair amount of backlash against ICM-based analysis in the forums. I think hands like this are why. We have villain shoving all but the worst hands, and Ace-Queen will win a whopping 64% of the time against that range, and is still a thin shove. But look at how much Hero stack is worth now. 11.44% of the prize pool is worth about $56, and that's a third of the top prize of $154. With the cap on Hero's winning so low, doubling up his chips clearly cannot double up his equity. In fact, it's only worth an extra $35 if ICM is accurate. So, I don't suggest you look at this hand as Hero risking 7,400 chips to win 9,600, but look at this hand as Hero risking $56 to win 35. Clearly, getting into a coin flip is simply not good enough here, when it normally would be okay early in a tournament. In conclusion, SitNGo Wizard can give robust ranges for final table push or fold decisions, but it's important to give accurate ranges for all of your opponents, including the times when you fold. This has been Soporific, and thank you for watching.